Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome to a very special video all about Iron Man. Now, I've taken a little bit of time. I think I'm getting this out about hopefully 9:30 PM UK time. So I've had a fair few hours to kind of like play around with this champion and get an idea. In this video, we're going to be looking at a bad rotation, a good rotation, some use in champion, use in questing, and also a little bit of kind of like practical use for the champion. So a lot of things are being covered in this video. I'm also going to go over things I liked and disliked about the champion. The showcase of this will be of a rank 3 6-star Iron Man, and that will be with a 30 signature. Not that it really kind of makes any difference, but it's something that's going to be important and interesting to mention. So one of the big things about it is that I had things I didn't like about the champion, and to give you an idea, I am giving this champion like an 80% out of 100, thumbs up. There's stuff I liked about it, but there's also things I don't like about it. So one thing that I'm going to be showcasing in this video, as I said, rotations, but also using in quests, because there's a lot of other things this champion is good for. So I'm just going to go over what I didn't like about it. But okay, first of all, the one thing that I do not like about the champion is all about the regeneration passive. I found that I was, well, this would be like, according to Kabam, or in general, it's like user error, or kind of like playing badly, because I triggered off the regen. A lot of times, most fights, I'll be triggering off the regen. And if I'm accidentally doing that, because I either have to kind of like concentrate a bit too much on making sure I'm blocking, making sure I'm well-timed blocking, because as a lot of you know with this new champion, you've got a well-timed block where you've got a parry block, well-timed block, whatever it is, to put a pause on your armor. Putting a pause on your armor is incredibly important. That's the second point, actually, a skill element to it. But let's go back to the first part. The first part is all about the fact that I'm triggering off that regen. If I'm triggering off that regen, then that once per quest is gone in the first fight. And it's like, great. That's not helpful. And that's quite annoying. And again, maybe people would say like, well, that's a skill issue. You should play better. But I found that I was trying to focus too much on one element, and the second element, which I didn't want to trigger, I was just triggering, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. The second part is very important for this champion, because it's all about trying to keep on your pauses to pause your armor. And if you don't pause your armor, then there's a problem, because you're not, well, I don't know, like the people again would say that you've got to build the champion in a way that you build the armor up and then you throw a special attack, or then you get yourself the arc reactor, because then you have all these arc reactor charges that are just dissipating down, which, as I say, when reaching 12 or more stacks of armor up, the reactor activates and gains 100 reactor charges. You want to build to 11, then you want to throw your SP2. That's kind of like the play with it. But there's going to be the issue that if you don't reach there, then you might feel that you're annoyed because you're not building up. And that's something as well. So well-timed blocking on an opponent's special attack pauses armor up for 10 seconds, and activating a special attack pauses them for 5 seconds per bar of power spent. These pauses expire one at a time. And I played it by different rotations. So we're going to have a look at those rotations in a second, but I want to get in and showcase a little bit of gameplay. So our first bit of gameplay comes courtesy of a fight against Deadpool in 3.2 this month. This champion is going to be great, Iron Man, it is, for building up certain things when it comes to your, well, questing, if nodes are applicable, and as well in other things like questing in general. You'll find that you're rotating quickly to things like armor breaks doing damage in this particular scenario. So this becomes a great option for questing, whether it's story mode content, whether or not it's monthly content, or whether or not Kabam put some special stuff where an armor break or a certain rotation with this champion have buffs, for example, could be really key and really fun. And next up, the next bit of footage is all about using against mutants. This is going to be the mutant killer. That's it. Iron Man is going to be a great option against those champions that are mutant. And especially because whenever they build prowess, this becomes like one of those particular counters that is going to be massively massively effective. It's definitely a champion that likes to invalidate a lot of those prowess-based effects. So again, with all that out of the way, I want to get into some of further gameplay when it comes to rotations, because there's some things that I found that were very important to use with this champion. I did try a few synergies out with the champion. One of those particular synergies, which, you know, hopefully I can get this up on screen very quickly, is this. I did try about with several. I would say from all of these particular ones, wherever you want to start, go with and kind of trigger off, one of the best ones to have, or best champions to have on the team, was Wasp. If you are like myself, thinking, right, and I did obviously got in some of the footage, like I didn't get my rotation off, and if I didn't get my rotation off, I need to keep those armor ups on as much as possible. So if I'm having one good fight, but then the next fight I'm just like not kind of like rotating correctly, then I need to kind of like eliminate my user error, or that 50% efficiency, with pausing armor and keeping armor up. So that's why the Wasp synergy can be incredibly helpful for this, because it is armor up effects last for an additional 2 seconds. Those 2 seconds could be really important for you to be keeping up your momentum, keeping up your armor ups, and then throwing an SP2. And that's something that I found like really helpful. So let's have a look at some footage. First of all, starting off with some bad rotations, or kind of like the kind of like worst way to approach this. So this particular fight, yeah, not good. No particular reason why. I think this is one of my early fights using the champion, and that is that, well, sometimes the AI is not going to help you out, and a lot of the time you will be relying on trying to get those. And one of the things that I struggled with is trying to get that timing off, which you can see that I'm trying to time my ability to get well-timed blocks to then pause my armor ups. And that, as you can see, is something that is a learning curve. This is one thing I'm not a huge fan of this when it comes to the champion, especially because you'd like to throw your special attack. And look, I'm now, pushing to an SP3. It's not problematic for this to be an SP3 rotation champion option if you're not getting the pause of, there you go, there's a pause of armor up. If you're not getting that locked in, then of course find different methods. It's not the be all and end all if you don't kind of do this, but you can really see the build up is not good. And I should be throwing that SP3. But obviously do bear in mind, this is one of my first fights, and also this is something that I'm just saying, this is a bad rotation. I think I've even labelled it for this as being bad rotation. Because it is. Right, 64 hits and not doing anything. And it's like quite funny. Don't worry, there's better gameplay and rotation in a minute, but I think it's important to kind of showcase. Well, where's the momentum lost, Rich? And this is it. This is when the momentum's lost. This is kind of like as well, trying to practice that well-timed pausing of armor up, and then kind of going, okay, well, look, practice it. I don't think I'm going to be using this champion all the time for all of my content, because it's just not something that I'm overly proficient with, getting that kind of like timing off. I think it's going to be a very niche thing, the same way that we've got Hawkeye with the releasing. That's very niche in the game. But Iron Man as well, you can just SP2 close to SP3, throw the SP2 or whatever armor ups you're on, and just do a load of SP1s, and that can work fine. And as I said, if you've got that Wasp synergy and you want to use Iron Man as your main champion, that can be helpful to kind of eliminate any kind of issues when it comes to the skill element and pressures of you having to provide a decent rotation for the champion. But as you can see, I think this was about 130 hits, right? That's not good. So now let's move on to a better rotation. So one of the things that we want to try and do is just before our SP3, or kind of like around there, is I need to get up to 11 armor ups. 11 armor ups, or trying to get there, is a pretty tough thing, to be honest. It's pretty tough, as we said, the skill element, but that armor up pause can be very helpful, and that Wasp synergy, which is on at the moment, is very helpful as well. There we go, we got the 11, we're going to throw the SP2 close to the SP1, actually more close to the SP3, sorry, and then we've got an SP1. Then we're back in again, we've got 160 of our arc reactor charges right there, and we're going to use that to the best of our ability and kind of look through some SP1 rotations. I should look to do some of that armor up pausing, and SP1 goes in, and then it's the case we need to do another one and kind of like do those SP1s in quick succession. build up those armor breaks, and then it's into the really good stages. So I really like this kind of this rotation. Things went well, and this is how it's advertised that you should play. Yeah, I need to kind of get an armor break in. Can I get another one in with those 6 on board? Throw the SP1, 7, 8, 9. 9 armor breaks are on at the moment, and this is good. Now we're starting to see the momentum of this, especially with plenty of arc reactor charges still in tow, and as well the pausing is on, and I'm doing a lot better. So you can see that the kind of like the changing momentum. And even though that's actually more of a clean way of playing, and that was kind of good, one of the big things is that it wasn't my best performing one when it came to the amount of hits. This fight here was less hits. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's going to be difficult for the player base to kind of go, well, what's the best method of rotation with this? Is it a case we've got to rely on the hits? Like with Winter Soldier, he has this kind of like, if you time in well, like, okay, so we'll do there, pause up, and then we're on to, we've got 10. Sadly, I'm only up to 15. Got 145 arc reactor charges versus the, was it 160 that I got previously? Or, no, 150, whatever it was more in the previous one in the rotation. But this is still less hits, which is again weird. Maybe it's a case like I wasn't as aggressive as maybe the previous one, and that's the reason that I should have been like this one here, more aggressive to do that. But again, that's the thing, like, you know, the champion's only been out to rotate around for the last kind of like, I don't know, 3 hours. So trying to kind of like make sure that you're playing it the best you possibly can is always very difficult, because like now it's a case of like, right, armor break charges, armor break debuffs even, and rotating around as quickly as possible. This is going to be the main thing that I need to do. But yeah, in any case, I really enjoy this champion. There we go. It's done. That fight is done. But yeah, I really enjoy the champion. I think this is going to be a great asset. And as I said, if you're having issues with the skill element of it and building, I would recommend having the Wasp synergy, just because it helps out to kind of like add an extra bit of cushioning to those armor buffs and how long they stay on. But I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on this champion? Put it in the comment section down below. Are you happy with it? Are you not? Thoughts and thoughts. Check out some other content located on screen, and I'll see you all soon. Have a great day. Bye bye.